Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Dr. Kenneth Deck, who is here on behalf of Tilde Research. And then we also have with us Ruth Eastham. Well, welcome both of you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you again, Lisa.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Now, we had you on last time and you talked a little bit about Tilde Research. And so I'm hoping that you can give us just a brief overview of what Tilde Research is.
Tilde Research basically is a company that does clinical trials for new drugs, new medicines, and we're very focused on Alzheimer's disease, both on the treatment as well as the prevention.
Okay, excellent. And Ruth, we haven't met you before, so just give us a little background of who you are and how this kind of came together.
So I work for Dr. Theodore Teacher, who's a prominent neurologist in Mission Viejo. I've been with him for 35 years.
Wow.
So over the many years that I've been with him, we see a number of patients with Alzheimer's or early onset dementia. And so it lent itself to help our patients by referring them to Tilde Research for promising new drugs that are coming.
Right.
And so I'm here as an advocate for practice as well as to help with Dr. Dex in his research.
Oh, that's great, because like you said, you probably see an awful lot of patients with dementia as well as Alzheimer's. So we'll go through how what your perspective is on that. So, Dr. Deck, tell me a little bit about Alzheimer's disease. I mean, we hear about it from a lot of different perspectives. Let's get your opinion.
Sure. Alzheimer's disease is the most common form of dementia in our population. It is very, very prevalent. The numbers continue to rise. It is basically everybody has times when they can't remember where they put their keys or, gee, why did I come into this room? Alzheimer's disease is a form of dementia that kind of exceeds that. Things happen kind of on a daily basis. Like, what is this? I can't remember a name. I can't remember a phone number. And people that the families begin to notice that, gee, is Dad slipping a little bit or what's going on? And once you're diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, your life expectancy, unfortunately, is only 4 to 8 years.
No matter what age you're at?
No matter what you do at this point, until this point.
Right.
So it's completely a fatal disease, unfortunately. Right. And it's extremely difficult, not only for the patient, but even more difficult for the families.
Yeah.
And, a patient starts, and then all of a sudden they require people to be with them a little more often, and then they require people to be with them 24 hours, and that goes to the spouse or the family, and then they can't really live by themselves, so then they have to live with a son or a daughter or go into a board and care or one of these facilities.
Right.
And that's really hard for the family. And I'm sure, Ruth, you've seen that with family.
It's extremely hard for family, whether it's a spouse or an adult child. It's really difficult for the family. So they oftentimes will call us and ask for help in terms of what are resources for them going forward. And I help them with some ideas for placement or home health.
Okay.
And but if there's some drugs out there that are promising, then that's when we make the referral for Tilde Research. And we're very hopeful going forward at this point. And that's very promising.
Okay, well, that's awesome. Now you mentioned that it's increasing.
Yes.
So
right
do we know
now,
the factors?
5.7 million people in the United States are diagnosed with Alzheimer's now.
Wow.
That is expected to triple by 2045.
Okay.
A person is diagnosed with Alzheimer's every 65 seconds. I'm sure the viewers here have seen people with Alzheimer's disease, know somebody, just because it's more common as you age. About 1 to 2% of people with Alzheimer's are under the age of 60.
Wow.
But most are elderly, and 5,000 deaths every year are due to Alzheimer's disease, and that's a major problem.
It is. It is. Now, do they have any idea what's causing this?
It's for the exact reason what causes it. It's somewhat based upon age, obviously. You also can have a strong family history, which predisposes you to this. There is a gene called APOE4, which predisposes you to this. But more, it's just aging. There's a compound called amyloid. Amyloid is a compound that's deposited in a particular part of the brain that deals with memory.
Okay.
And you can see that amyloid on a PET scan. And sometimes you'll see amyloid 10 to 20 years before the patient even has symptoms. And so, but once the amyloid begins to deposit and progresses, it continues. We don't have any way to stop it right now.
Right.
And as it progresses, you lose more and more of your cognitive function.
Okay.
And to the point where you have so much amyloid, you don't remember who you are, where you are, anything like that.
Right.
But it's all based upon that amyloid.
Okay. Now, is that something that your office evaluates for the patients?
Yes, we do see a number of patients with early onset dementia or progressive dementia or early Alzheimer's or advancing Alzheimer's.
Okay.
And sometimes the early signs would be word finding difficulty, or they're forgetting names of family members, that type of thing. So, and at that point, our doctors do a series of tests in the office. And one of them is mini mental status exam, where there's a number calculated in their answer response, and based on that calculation, if they fall between a certain category, it usually is assigned for dementia or Alzheimer's dementia.
And is that the point that you refer people to Tilde research?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And so when you get that phone call from either the patient that was referred or maybe Ruth herself would be calling you, what do you do?
Unfortunately, right now, today, all the drugs out there, and probably Ruth can attest to this, like Aricept, for example, they do nothing. And they kind of control the anxiety a little bit sometimes associated with it, but they don't really treat the underlying disease process.
Okay.
And until recently, we've not had something that actually does that. And Lilly now has a drug called Demanumab, which it's what's called not getting too scientific here, it's called a monoclonal antibody. And that monoclonal antibody binds actually to the amyloid.
Okay.
And the body recognizes that antibody as being foreign. And so it attacks the antibody
Okay.
to get rid of it. As it attacks the antibody, it gets rid of the amyloid also. And so if you follow people who are on this drug with PET scan, they have less and less amyloid, and their cognitive function improves.
Wow.
So this is the first drug to actually treat the disease and hope to get actual improvement from the disease. So I'm excited about it. And the FDA basically has labeled this a breakthrough drug.
Okay.
Because they know nothing they have really works, and this is so kind of a one-of-a-kind thing at this point. And to find a way to cure, or even more importantly, prevent, we're doing trials on patients who have amyloid but maybe don't have the symptoms yet.
Oh.
But they can enter a trial and then take the drug to prevent further deposition of the amyloid and prevent the development of, therefore, Alzheimer's disease.
Okay. And then, so let's just say someone had the amyloid and they wanted to use that particular drug. Is that something that their doctors can prescribe for them?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay.
It's only done at this point, it's not completely approved by the FDA. There is a drug called Biogen, made by Biogen, that is approved. Unfortunately, it's not covered by any insurance or anything else. It costs a significant amount of money.
Okay.
And even then, you have to be in a clinical trial.
I see.
So until the FDA completely approves it, the only way to get it is to be in a clinical trial.
Okay.
The benefits of the trial is that, number one, you get the PET scan looking for amyloid at no cost to you. You get the genetic testing at no cost to you. And then when you get those results back, then we sit down and discuss with them, okay, here's your option. I mean, you can enroll in the trial and potentially get the medication, or, if you don't feel you have symptoms, we'll wait but once you have amyloid, you'll always get Alzheimer's. That's very few things in medicine are always, but that isn't always.
Okay. So now if people do find that they have all of the things that you've described, what do they need to do next?
The easiest way I would think would be to call, you can certainly call your doctor and say, I'm concerned about this. Can I get this amyloid scan? Can I get this gene? and they can usually prescribe it or order it. The problem with, once again, is that most insurances don't cover it.
The test
Isn't
itself.
that true?
The test
It's
itself.
The PET scan
Oh.
Yeah.
and the
And the
amyloid.
PET scan is like $5,000.
Oh,
Or
heavens.
5,000 to 8,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Oh, no.
expensive. So
Or, as I said, you can enter a clinical trial.
Which is what
and
you guys are doing
Which
now.
we are doing now.
Okay.
And you get all that, and the sponsor pays for all of it.
I see.
And so there's no out-of-pocket expenses.
Okay.
If you get the scans and the results and you elect not to enter the trial, that's fine. That's okay. But
Okay.
you've at least gotten your information.
Okay. So what are some of the parameters for an individual to participate with your clinical trial?
Basically, they have to be over the age of 50,
Okay.
which is not uncommon. They don't really even necessarily have to have symptoms. They are given a very, very simple test to see if they have any memory issues at all, which I think, I'm not sure I would pass the test either, but, and then if they have that, then they're offered the scans and the genetic testing and everything else.
Okay.
If you have the gene, they offer genetic counseling to the family. So it's you know, it's because the FDA is pushing this, it's a really good idea.
Okay. And how long is the study for?
The study is initially for 1.5 years.
Okay.
And like we talked about last time, there is a placebo group in this study. So half the people get it, half the people do not. At the end of the 1.5 years, if they see what they believe they'll see is a reduction in amyloid and an improvement in cognitive function, they then will go to the placebo group and say, hey, we're going to give you this drug
Oh, okay.
at no charge because and they'll go to the FDA and they'll get hopefully approval for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this must be good news for you, Ruth.
It
and
is.
Especially seeing as many people as you've been seeing over
Sure,
the years.
and the bottom age is 50, but the upper age limit is 85. So there's a
Okay.
huge population there
Yeah.
that may benefit from this
Okay.
going forward. So
Yeah, I
we're
mean-
very excited about it.
is awesome.
It's been a long time since we've had something in the pipeline that looks very, very positive to helping people.
Okay, that's great. And you know, we talk to Alzheimer's OC a lot, and they come in, and they're a great organization. And
Absolutely.
you
They're
know,
wonderful.
I'm assuming you work with them as well.
Yes, we do. We
Okay.
work with them. They've referred patients to us in the past.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, anything I've missed? Anything that I've missed?
No, I think it's, I specifically wanted Ruth here because she brings a different perspective.
Yeah.
She's dealt with the families. You know, we as doctors don't always deal with the families. We only deal with the patient. And, you know, I think I told you last time my mother-in-law had this, and so I have my own personal reasons for wanting to do this.
Right.
But it's, I would love for us to find something
Yeah,
that can reverse this disease process.
that would be wonderful. That would be great. Well, thank you so much for
Oh,
being with us
pleasure.
today, both of you.
Thank you.
For
Thanks
sure.
having
Thank
us.
you for having us again, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Take care.
And remember, if you want more information about what we have just discussed or to participate in the study, you can call Tilda Research on the number on our screen. We'll be right back.